My girlfriend faked her death to get away from me, but when I left before she could, she went crazy. Shinrunin once suffered brain damage, saving me in a car accident, becoming mentally impaired. For 2 years, to raise money for her treatment, I sold my property, worked tirelessly, and was as busy as a spinning top. But at my part-time job at a bar, I accidentally saw Shinrunin embracing a male model, laughing uninhibitedly, looking nothing like her previously impaired self. If you ask me, Hitsuyu is the real fool, working himself to death for me every day, even selling the house his parents left him. But he doesn't know that the little money he earns by working himself to death isn't even enough for me to buy a bottle of wine. Although I quite like him, my family has been pressuring me to return home for an arranged marriage. I'll pretend for at most another half-month, then I'm done playing this game of poor man and fool with him. When the time comes, I'll stage a fake death, leave completely, and let him search heaven and earth, but he'll never find me again. At the entrance of the private room, I felt as if I'd been struck by lightning, word by word, like sharp blades, each one piercing deeply into my heart. It turned out that what I thought was mutual salvation was nothing but her carefully orchestrated deception. If that was the case, I would beat her to it and fake my own death to leave first. But after I died, she went mad. Inside the private room, Shinrunin's friend teased, "Sister Nan, you used to treasure Hitsu so much back then," deliberately intercepting his offer from that major domestic company, even staging a car accident that crippled one of his legs while you pretended to be simple-minded. All this just to keep him trapped by your side, achieving nothing. Now, are you really willing to just leave him like this? Shinrunin pressed her lips together and pondered for 2 seconds. I admit I'm somewhat reluctant to let go, but there's no choice. My family's pressure is too intense, and the young master of the He family is still waiting for me to marry him. So how do you plan to fake your death? Isn't that simple? In half a month, it's my birthday, and Hesesiu promised to take me to an island resort that day. At that time, I'll create a falling overboard accident on the cruise ship, fake my death, and leave. Won't that easily deceive him? Her girlfriends all applauded. Sister Nin really knows how to play the game. Shinrunin swirled the wine glass in her hand and spoke casually. To be honest, I've grown a bit tired of playing these past 2 years. It's time to return to my glorious days. The conversation in the private room continued, but I could no longer hear anything. A sharp pain came from my chest, as if being stabbed by a knife. I clutched my aching chest and limped away. Shinrunin and I met at a charity event 2 years ago. At that time, she told me she was an orphan, alone and helpless just like me. She said she liked me and persistently pursued me for several months. Later, in a car accident where she tried to save me, she suffered brain damage and became mentally disabled with the intelligence of a 5 or 6-year-old child. And I was left with a limp in one leg, walking with a slight hobble, able to make a living only by delivering food. To repay her kindness, I kept Shinrunin by my side and took care of her attentively for 2 years. For 2 years, to help treat her illness, I worked exhausting and difficult jobs, spent everything I had, and even sold the only house my parents had left me. I lived frugally myself, yet strived to give her the best. But in the end, what I received in return was complete deception. How ridiculous. The foolish one wasn't her. It was me. 2 hours later, I returned home after work. Shinrunin was already at home. As soon as I entered, she rushed over excitedly and hugged me, planting a kiss on my face. "Asiai, you're finally back. Nanan missed you so much." Since becoming simple-minded, she had stayed at home alone every day, obediently waiting for me to return. But I didn't expect that she would sneak out to play while I was working. Thinking of how she was hugging and cuddling with the male model at the bar earlier, I felt a wave of disgust and pushed her away as if in rejection. Shinrunin's eyes immediately reddened, and she bit her lip asking me, "Why did ACI push Nanan away? Does ACI hate Nanan?" I coldly looked at the woman pretending to be mentally impaired before me, feeling nothing but irony. She was clearly normal, so how was she able to put on this act of being mentally impaired? "It's nothing. I'm just too tired and want to rest." After saying this, I turned and entered the room. Shinrunin stood tearfully at the doorway, her face full of grievance. "ACI, aren't you going to help Nanan take a bath today?" I was silent for a moment, then said sternly, "Go wash yourself. You should learn to take care of yourself when I'm not around." Shinrunin's expression froze for a moment. Then she ran over anxiously to grab my hand, tears instantly flooding her eyes. "ACI, why would you not be here? Are you abandoning Nanan?" I was just speaking hypothetically. I gently shook off her hand, my voice carrying a hint of coldness. "I'm going to sleep now. You should go take your bath." When Shinrunin came back in, I was already pretending to be asleep. She lifted the blanket and lay down gently beside me, reaching out to wrap her arm around my waist. I clenched my fists tightly, not embracing her back. That night was the first time I didn't hold her while sleeping. I didn't sleep the entire night. The next day, I left early for work, not even preparing breakfast for Shun Runin. In the evening, when I was working my part-time job at the bar, unsurprisingly, I saw Shun Runin again. In the private room with its colorful lights and alcohol, she sat on the lap of a distinguished-looking man, their behavior intimate, whispering in each other's ears. Her best friend affectionately called the man brother-in-law. Nanjia, just look at our brother-in-law. Handsome, great physique, impeccable family background. Why did you ever fall for that poor guy with the surname He? Shin Runin curved her lips into a smile and, in front of everyone, wrapped her arms around the man's neck and engaged in a passionate kiss with him. When the kiss ended, she casually remarked, "Sometimes you get tired of delicacies and want to try something different." The man stared at Shun Runin, feigning anger. "Nan, I've waited for you for 2 years. Have you had enough fun yet? If you don't marry me soon, I might have to marry someone else." Shin Runin hugged his face and gave him a peck, raising 3 fingers to make a vow. "Don't worry, Howe. Just wait another half-month, and I'll definitely come back and marry you obediently. Hitsuyu and I were just having some fun. How could he ever replace your position?" I closed my eyes, allowing tears to flow freely into my heart. The pain was piercing to the bone. I numbly returned to my work post, distracted the entire evening. When delivering drinks to a client, I unexpectedly encountered Shun Runin's fiancé, Howe, in the hallway. I pretended not to know him and walked straight past, but Howe extended his arm to block my path. With his arms crossed, he casually began, "Stop pretending. I know you recognize me. I just saw you hiding by the private room entrance." I halted my steps and turned to look at him. "Mr. He, may I ask if there's something you need from me?" Howe looked me over for a few moments, then suddenly smirked and said mockingly, "You are indeed somewhat attractive. No wonder Runin was willing to act foolish and follow you for 2 years. Unfortunately, no matter how much she likes you, you're just her plaything, never able to be acknowledged publicly." Looking at the arrogant man before me, I remained silent for 2 seconds, then calmly replied, "Mr. He, you clearly have an engagement with Shin Runin, yet she still insists on entangling herself with me. How are you any less her plaything than I am? How dare you?" Upon hearing this, Howe became furious, angrily snatched the wine bottle from my hand, and with a loud bang smashed it on my head. "Hitsuyu, what are you so proud of? You're a penniless beggar with a lame leg. How can you even compare yourself to me?" Instantly, excruciating pain shot through my head, warm blood continuously flowing down from my temple. Before I could react, Howe called over 2 bodyguards who quickly pinned me to the ground. "You dare talk back to me, I'll make you understand the consequences." With that, he swung his fists, punching and kicking me with brutal force. I gritted my teeth tightly, struggling desperately, but could never break free from the restraint. After more than 10 minutes of humiliation, I was beaten until my face was bruised and swollen, my head bleeding profusely, with crimson blood covering my entire face, a shocking sight to behold. At this moment, coincidentally, Shin Runin came out. She called out to Howe, "Howe, what are you doing?" Howe stopped what he was doing, turned to look at her, and scoffed. "Nothing, just teaching a lesson to a servant who doesn't know their place." Shin Runin walked over unhurriedly, glancing briefly at me as I lay disheveled on the ground. In an instant, she indifferently shifted her gaze away and gently reminded Howe, "Next time, just have someone else handle these things. Don't dirty your hands with such trash." After saying this, she took Howe's arm and walked away, deliberately avoiding me with disgust. She didn't recognize me. After 2 years together, over 700 days and nights, she couldn't recognize the battered person before her eyes. For 2 years, I had given her everything, my heart and soul, only to be met with her coldness. How tragic. The physical pain was not even a fraction of the heartache. After treating my wounds briefly, I rode my electric scooter home, swaying unsteadily. Shin Runin had already returned before me. Seeing my bruised face with bandages wrapped around my head, she was stunned for a moment. Then immediately her eyes reddened, anxiously coming forward to grab me, tears streaming down her face. "ACI, what happened to you? Who beat you? Are you in pain?" Nanan is so worried. I looked up at her. The woman before me was crying like rain on pear blossoms, sobbing intermittently. The concern and distress on her face didn't seem to be feigned. I couldn't tell for a moment how much of her feelings were genuine and how much were false. "It's nothing." I gently brushed away her hand and spoke hoarsely. "I was riding my electric scooter back at night and didn't see the road clearly, accidentally fell." Shin Runin wiped away her tears, full of self-blame. "It's all Nanan's fault. Nanan is too stupid, needing so much money from medical treatment, making ACI work too hard." She sobbed a few times, then suddenly leaned in to kiss me. I reflexively dodged. Shin Runin was stunned, then cried even louder. "ACI, you've been so strange lately. Why won't you let me hug you or kiss you anymore?" Don't you like Nan Nan anymore? I remained silent for a moment, then found a random excuse. Don't overthink it. I'm just too tired from work lately and not in the mood. By the way, I won't take you to the hospital for treatment anymore. You're not sick and don't need therapy. Shinrunin froze suddenly. A flash of panic crossed her eyes as she twisted her fingers tightly in the hem of her clothes, pretending to be innocent when she asked, "Why?" I smiled sarcastically. Nan Nan isn't stupid. In my heart, Nan Nan will always be the smartest. Shinrunin's brow relaxed as she let out an almost imperceptible sigh of relief. In the days that followed, I continued with my busy work schedule as usual, delivering food during the day and working part-time at a bar at night. I often saw Shinrunin and her girlfriends at the bar, but each time, I deliberately avoided them, making sure they didn't notice me. When I returned home after work, I continued to maintain a facade of calm. I didn't expose Shinrunin, but I also no longer protected and cared for her as I did before. Just like that, half a month flew by in a blur. On the eve of Shinrunin's birthday, she reminded me early. "ACI, you can't go to work tomorrow. You promised to take me to the island, remember?" 2 months ago, she had been begging me to take her on a trip to an island, all for the purpose of staging a fake death accident. The next day, I packed some simple luggage and set off with Shinrunin. This was my first time on a luxury cruise ship. The 2 tickets cost more than 5,000 yuan in total, which was half a month's salary from my exhausting work. The cruise ship was crowded with people, and in the bustling crowd, I caught a glimpse of Hihaowei. Shortly after the cruise ship departed, Shinrunin suddenly said she needed to use the bathroom. I nodded in agreement. This was the first time I didn't accompany her to the restroom in a public place. Not long after she left, I secretly got up and followed her. Following her all the way, I saw her mysteriously enter a private room. Through the half-open door, I glimpsed 2 intimate silhouettes tightly entwined inside the room. Shinrunin with her clothes partially removed, her leg wrapped around Hihaowei's waist, flushed and coquettishly complaining. "Haowei, you're so bad. Why did you have to seduce me today of all days?" Hihaowei gently bit her earlobe, mumbling indistinctly. "Nan Nan, today is your birthday. I just missed you so much." Then, he thrust forcefully, asking in a husky voice, "Nan Nan, can he see you make you this happy?" Shinrunin passionately gasped. "Don't mention him, because he's mindful of my dementia. He rarely touches me. I even suspect he's incapable. It's been absolutely suffocating me. Thankfully I have you." I stood numbly outside the door, my heart already feeling numb. "Nan Nan, I've done as you asked. I've set up safety nets at every spot where you're planning to fall into the water. You can jump safely later. There are people below to catch you. From now on, you must focus your heart entirely and be my obedient bride." Shinrunin tightly embraced his neck, letting out a soft voice from her throat. "Okay, I trust you with everything you do." Even though I was already numb, witnessing the scene before my eyes still caused an unavoidable sharp pain in my chest. I cannot believe that the woman I've carefully cherished for 2 years, whom I was afraid to even touch, could be so wanton and desperate. Shinrunin, oh Shinrunin, have you ever had even a shred of sincerity toward me during these 2 years? Were all those sweet moments of affection and solemn vows truly just a deception? I closed my eyes, allowing the pain to spread through my chest. "Shinrunin, since you want to fake your death to get away from me, then I'll die before you, walking your path, leaving you with nowhere to go. If I died, would you feel relieved, or would you completely break down? Regardless, from now on, we'll go our separate ways, with no further connection between us." After taking a deep breath, I took out my phone and numbly recorded the scene of their affair. After putting my phone away, I turned and walked toward the deck. The warm sea breeze hit my face, but my heart felt completely desolate. Leaning against the railing, I took out my phone again, opened Shinrunin's chat, and sent her the video I had just secretly recorded. After leaving a message saying goodbye forever, I climbed onto the railing and leapt decisively, plunging into the cold seawater. What she didn't know was that I had once been a diving champion. This jump wouldn't kill me, but I would disappear from her world forever. After finishing her tryst with Hihaowei, Shinrunin straightened her clothes and hurriedly returned to the cabin. But Hisayu was nowhere to be seen in his seat. She searched everywhere but couldn't find any trace of him. Inexplicably, a hint of panic crept into her heart. She took out her phone from her bag, wanting to call Hisayu, but unexpectedly discovered a message he had sent her. A video clip, and the words, "Farewell forever." Her heart froze, and with trembling hands, she opened the video, 2 intimate figures entwined, instantly making her pupils contract. It was her and Haowei. Asi had seen it. When had he seen it? And what did farewell forever mean? Was he going to leave her? Shinrunin hurriedly dialed Hitsuyu's number, only to be informed by a cold mechanical voice that the number was no longer in service. Beads of sweat began to form on her palms as her heart seemed to miss a step, suddenly tightening. Just then, a commotion broke out among the crowd. Something terrible has happened. Someone jumped off the deck into the sea. Shinrunin looked sharply toward the crowd, her mind buzzing, suddenly going blank. After regaining her senses, Shinrunin immediately ran out with the crowd. On the deck, a large crowd of people had gathered tightly, all peering over the railing. She grabbed a man's arm and anxiously asked, "Who jumped overboard? Who jumped into the sea?" "Miss, I don't know them either." The man frowned, his face full of regret. "I only know it was a tall, thin boy wearing a checkered shirt, quite handsome looking. He's been underwater for a while now. I'm afraid the chances are slim. So young, why would he be so desperate?" Shinrunin was thunderstruck, her face turning deathly pale. She frantically leaned over the railing, attempting to jump down, but was pulled back just in time by He Haowei, who had hurried over. "Nan, don't jump. You've got the wrong place. The safety net isn't laid beneath here." "No, that's not it." Shinrunin interrupted him with a trembling voice. "Haowei, it's ACI. ACI jumped from here. He discovered the relationship between us. He was heartbroken and tried to end his life. I need to save him. Let me go down to save him." "Runin, calm down." He Haowei grabbed her shoulders and earnestly persuaded her. "This area of the sea is so deep. You can't save him by rashly jumping down. You'll only lose your own life. Don't worry, professional rescue teams will come to save him. It's all my fault. It's all my fault." Shinrunin's eyes were bloodshot, her face filled with self-reproach. "I shouldn't have let him bring me here. Shouldn't have deceived him. I deserve to die." He Haowei could only try his best to soothe her emotions. "Runin, this isn't your fault." Soon after, the rescue team arrived at the scene. The rescue personnel searched for a long time at sea, but they never found any trace of Hitsuyu. After a full 2 hours, they still had found nothing. Finally, they had no choice but to return to the ship. Passengers on the cruise ship sighed one after another. "It's no use. After this much time, he's either drowned and washed away or eaten by sharks. What a pity." Yet Shinrunin screamed hysterically as if she had gone mad. "No, ACI won't die. He absolutely won't die." She grabbed the rescue worker's hands, knelt on the ground, pleading almost desperately. "Please, I beg you, please save ACI. He's only 28, he can't die." The rescue team leader sighed. "The waters are so deep, and he's been underwater for so long. Basically, there's no chance of survival anymore. Let's wait for the professional salvage team to recover the body." Shinrunin instantly collapsed to the ground. Large teardrops fell, spattering on the floor with a pitter-patter sound. Why did this happen? Why did things deviate from her expected course? She couldn't believe it, nor could she accept it. The one who was supposed to jump into the sea was her. How did it become ACI instead? In her heart, it felt as if it was being torn in half, causing excruciating pain. Soon after, the salvage team also arrived at a nearby sea area. They searched continuously for several days, but always came up empty-handed. Finally, they could only return to shore and gently persuade Shinrunin. "Miss Shun, the difficulty of the salvage operation is too great. Perhaps it's better to give up." "No." Shinrunin desperately shook her head, breaking down in tears. "I need to see him alive, or see his body. Until we find ACI's body, I won't believe he's dead. Find him. Continue searching. No matter how long it takes, you must find him." A full half-month passed, and Hitsuyu's body still had not been found. During this half-month, Shinrunin wandered about in a daze every day, like an empty shell walking among the living, confused and lost. Every day, when she wasn't keeping vigil by the seaside, she stayed in the bar, numbing herself with alcohol. On this day, while drinking, she accidentally overheard 2 servers chatting. "Hey, where did little he go? Why haven't we seen him for a while?" "Little he? You mean Hitsuyu? Don't you know what happened to him? I heard he jumped into the sea to commit suicide some time ago. It's been over 2 weeks, and they still haven't recovered his body." Shinrunin's heart tightened, and she instantly sobered up considerably. She excitedly ran over and grabbed the server's hand, hastily asking, "You know Hitsuyu?" The server nodded blankly. "Yes, I know him. See, I worked part-time at our bar for over 2 weeks. He was a really good guy, especially hardworking, doing all kinds of dirty and tiring jobs. He said he needed to earn money for his girlfriend's medical treatment. I don't know why he suddenly became so desperate. It's such a shame for such a good." Shinrunin couldn't hear the rest of what was being said. She felt as if a thunderbolt had exploded in her mind, striking her completely unprepared. See, I had worked part-time at this bar. Why didn't she know about this? So, had he seen her here before? So had he also discovered her pretense of madness? Without time to think further, Shinrunin immediately went to security to check the surveillance footage. But the surveillance video she retrieved left her feeling as if she'd fallen into an icy abyss. It turned out that over the past 2 weeks, a CI had several times hidden outside her private room to watch her, each time leaving with a devastated expression. Moreover, she saw how He Haowei had beaten and humiliated him. watching with her own eyes as he was beaten bloody. Yet she showed no concern and instead left coldly with a look of disgust. At that moment, her heart was consumed by enormous regret. She regretted it deeply, truly regretted it. How could she not have recognized the CI? How heartbroken he must have been then. No wonder he tried to drown himself in the sea. She had completely frozen his heart. She was wrong, terribly wrong. She thought she had grown tired of him and wanted to end things. But after ACI jumped into the sea, she felt as if a piece of her heart was missing, causing her unbearable pain. She simply couldn't bear the pain of his departure. To her, he had already become part of her flesh and blood, impossible to sever. Shenruan, and covered her face as she collapsed onto the ground, breaking down in tears. Just then, He Haowei came looking for her. Nan Nan, why are you sitting on the ground? He Haowei helped Shun Runin up, casually comforting her. Don't be sad, Nan Nan. You were planning to get rid of Heat Siyu anyway. Isn't it better that he's dead? This saves you from him constantly bothering you after he learns the truth. Shen Runin pushed him away. Her eyes were bloodshot, filled with immense anger. He Haowei, who gave you permission to insult ACI on your own accord, and even hit him. He Haowei looked at her furious expression and was momentarily stunned. After a moment, he lowered his voice. Nan Nan, don't be angry with me. I was just too jealous at that time. Why did he get to easily occupy 2 years of your life without doing anything? I couldn't accept it, so I lost my temper and... Slap. Before Ho Haowei could finish speaking, Shin Runin raised her hand and slapped him hard across the face. Ho Haowei, who do you think you are? You're nothing but a marriage candidate chosen by my parents. Without the protection of my Shin family, your Ho family is nothing. What right do you have to be jealous of a CI? Let me tell you, in my eyes, you can't compare to even a fraction of what a CI is. It's all because of you. You drove a CI to his death. From today onwards, our engagement is over, and we'll have no relationship whatsoever. After saying these words, Shin Runin turned and left resolutely. She returned to the home where she had lived with Heat Siyu for 2 years. Looking at each of his belongings in the room, her tears fell rapidly from the corners of her eyes, like arrows released from a broken string. She hugged the quilt Heat Siyu had used, crying her heart out. Even though the quilt still carried his scent, and his traces were everywhere in the room, she couldn't believe he had just died like that. After her grief, she pulled out her phone and made a call. No matter what method we use, no matter what price we pay, even if we have to dig 3 feet under, we must find Heat Siyu. Alive or dead, I want to see him. After leaving by falling into the sea, I came to a small town in the south, living under a false identity. I used all my savings to open a modest-sized bookstore. Business wasn't particularly good, but at least I could make a little money. Without the clamor and pressure of the big city, my days were plain yet fulfilling. But this peaceful life only lasted for 2 months. One day, just before closing time, an unexpected visitor appeared at my store's entrance. 2 months had passed, and the woman before me had visibly grown much thinner. Her eyes had dark circles, her face was pale and haggard, and she looked utterly exhausted, no longer radiant as she once was. Shin Runin, with reddened eyes, carefully called out to me. CI, it's you? You're not dead. I finally found you. I coldly averted my gaze, my tone indifferent and distant. Miss Shun, we're already over. There's no need for you to come looking for me anymore. No. Shin Runin ran over and grabbed my hand, pleading chokingly. CI, we're not over. I was wrong. I shouldn't have deceived you. You can hit me or scold me. Just please don't leave me again. These past 2 months, I've been living worse than death. CI, won't you come back? Come back to my side. I can't live without you. Watching her cry, my heart remained completely unmoved. I spoke sarcastically. Come back to your side for what? To continue playing the fool and poor person game with you. Shin Runin looked at me with tear-filled eyes. I'm sorry. I gently brushed her hand away, saying coldly. Shin Runin, we're simply not meant to be together. He Haowei is more suitable for you. Shin Runin spoke excitedly. A CI, you left me because you mind about He Haowei, right? Don't worry. I've already broken off the engagement with him. I promise you that I will never associate with him again. If you're still concerned, I'll bring him tomorrow to apologize to you. That won't be necessary. I coldly dismissed her. My shop is closing now. You should leave quickly. After saying this, I pulled down the rolling shutter door. Shun Runin reluctantly stood at the shop entrance for a while. Then her figure disappeared into the lonely night. But the next day at dawn, she came again. This time she brought He Haowei with her. He Haowei was forcibly held by 2 bodyguards, his face full of anger. Shin Runin viciously kicked his knee, forcing him to kneel before me. CI, how he bullied you last time at the bar. Today I'll let you bully him back, okay? As long as it makes you feel better, you can do whatever you want to him. Even if it means drawing his blood or cutting his flesh, I can make your wishes come true. He Haowei glared angrily, his face full of resentment. Shin Runin, If you dare let him touch me, I will never let you off. Shinrunin, furious, slapped him. Shut up, He Howei. If it weren't for you, I wouldn't be angry with me. You must atone for the sins you've committed. Watching these two once intimate people now becoming enemies, I only found it extremely ridiculous. I looked at them with contempt. Shinrunin, I don't do murder or arson. If you two want to fight, please find another place. Don't dirty my shop. Shinrunin's expression froze for a moment. Then she continued speaking as if to herself. I understand, Osei. You've always been a kind-hearted and soft person. Since you don't want to take action yourself, I'll find someone to do it for you. Don't worry, I will definitely get revenge for this grievance on your behalf. Having said that, she turned her head and coldly instructed the bodyguard. Take him to the abandoned warehouse in the suburbs, find a few perverted homosexuals, and let them have some fun with him. Yes, miss. He Howei stared in terror, struggling desperately, and roared hysterically. Shinrunin, you bitch. If you dare to do this to me, I will definitely not let you get away with it. After He Howei was taken away, Shinrunin immediately turned to look at me, humbly begging. Osei, have you calmed down now? Can you forgive me? I looked at her coldly, my voice devoid of any warmth. Shinrunin, if He Howei is guilty, aren't you guilty too? You should know very well how my leg became crippled, right? And despite my excellent qualifications, I still can't find a good job. You should be very clear about the reason for that as well, right? Shinrunin's gaze stiffened, her face turning as white as paper. I stared at her and spoke word by word. Shinrunin, do you know that my dream was once to be an excellent engineer, but because of you, I can only live an insignificant life as a delivery person. And this left leg of mine, due to the after effects, aches painfully whenever it rains, sometimes hurting so much that I can't sleep through the night. All of this is thanks to you. You've caused me enormous harm, and now, how dare you easily ask for my forgiveness? Shinrunin was already in tears. She kept shaking her head, full of remorse. I'm sorry, Osei. I was so confused back then and did something that hurt you. I just liked you too much and wanted to keep you by my side. Can you please forgive me? I no longer looked at her and turned away resolutely. Leave, and don't come back again. My attitude was firm, so Shinrunin could only leave in despair. That evening, He Howei made headline news. Reportedly, after being drugged, he spent an entire night in wild encounters with several homosexual men. Photos were taken and posted online, making him the laughingstock of the entire city and thoroughly ruining his reputation. The He family business was affected by this incident and suffered a severe blow. Meanwhile, the Shin family immediately issued a statement announcing they would terminate the marriage agreement with the He family and would have no further business dealings with them. The He family fell into a desperate situation. What a clever move to discard someone after they've served their purpose. That's Shinrunin for you. Shinrunin stayed in the small town. She came to find me every day, either throwing tantrums or tearfully begging for my forgiveness. I paid her no attention, but even when I glared at her with cold eyes, she still shamelessly persisted in pursuing me. She came to my store almost every day, either waiting outside the door, voluntarily organizing books for me, or just staring at me intently for the entire day. On this day, just before closing time, I finally exploded, unable to bear it any longer. I looked at her with a stern face, my voice filled with piercing coldness. Shinruin, and you've caused me a lot of trouble lately. I find it annoying and tiresome. I've made myself very clear what we had ended long ago. Please stop bothering me. I cannot forgive you, nor will I ever reconcile with you. Shinrunin stared at me in a daze. Suddenly, 2 streams of tears slid down from the corners of her eyes. Why? Her lips trembled slightly, her voice carrying a hint of shakiness. Osei, I clearly know I was wrong and I've apologized to you. Why aren't you willing to forgive me? We lived together intimately for 2 years. Can you really let go of those 2 years of feelings so easily? What is there for me to not let go of? I coldly laughed and retorted. These 2 years of feelings were full of deception and hurt for me. You wounded me until I was bleeding profusely. Why should I not let go? Shinrunin bit her lip, clenching her fists tightly, her eyes full of unwillingness. But Osei, I can't let go. Just thinking that I might never see you again makes my heart ache so much. Before she could finish speaking, a sudden violent roar of a car engine came from outside the door. I turned my head in shock to see a speeding car rushing toward Shinrunin and me. Through the semi-transparent car window, I glimpsed He Howei's ferocious face. My heart skipped a beat, and before I could dodge, Shinrunin had already rushed toward me, quickly pushing me away. Osei, watch out. With a loud bang, the car crashed into the bookstore, violently sending Shinrunin flying before smashing heavily into the wall. Fire quickly erupted in the store, the flames raging. I immediately evacuated customers and organized an escape. Severely injured Shinrunin was pinned down by a bookshelf on her leg. Trapped in the fire, unable to move, screaming in agony. By the time the fire was brought under control, she had been burned beyond recognition, without a patch of unharmed skin on her entire body. But before she passed out, she still asked me with her last breath, "ACI, I've received my karma. Now, can you forgive me?" I opened my mouth, but couldn't say anything. Those words of forgiveness, I will never utter in this lifetime. The perpetrator of this car accident was eventually arrested by the police. For the crime of intentional homicide, Hihawei was sentenced to life imprisonment. As for Shen Runin, her legs were broken in the crash with no chance of standing again. She also suffered severe burns all over her body, facial disfigurement, and serious infection. No matter how much skin grafting she might undergo in the future, she would never return to her original appearance. My bookstore also suffered heavy losses, with the interior destroyed and more than half of the books burned. Fortunately, though, no one died. As long as one is alive, there's always a chance to rebuild. It took me 2 months to reopen the bookstore. Surprisingly, after the car accident and fire, the bookstore's business actually improved, with customers coming in continuously and profits steadily increasing. In a way, this could be considered a blessing in disguise. Without Shen Runin's interference, my life returned to tranquility once again. Time passed bit by bit this way. I didn't realize my dream of becoming an excellent engineer, but I maintained my own peaceful space, lived and worked contentedly, busy yet fulfilled. Without the shackles of emotion, I lived a comfortable and carefree life. 6 months later, I suddenly received a phone call. It was Shen Runin. On the phone, she asked me in a choked voice, "ACI, it's been so long since everything happened. Can you forgive me now?" I paused for a moment and sighed softly. "Shen Runin, at this point, does it matter whether I forgive you or not?" "It matters." Her tone was firm, with determination. "ACI, if you can forgive me, I can die in peace." "I won't forgive you." This profound deception, I'll never forgive for the rest of my life. Shen Runin remained silent for a while, then suddenly laughed self-mockingly. "That's right. I deceived your feelings. It's only right that you don't forgive me. Now I've become a disabled person, my face disfigured, and I have no face to see you again. So be it, ACI. If there is a next life, I hope you won't meet me again." After saying that, she hung up the phone. The next morning, there was a news report on TV. Jing City Shin Group's sole heir Shen Runin, after suffering facial disfigurement in a car accident, developed severe depression and committed suicide by cutting her wrists in the hospital late last night, at the age of 26. Seeing this news, I was only stunned for a moment. Then, I calmly turned off the television. All of this had long ceased to matter to me. Whether she lived or died would no longer stir any feelings in me. I now have a new life, with a bright future ahead, and will no longer dwell on the past.